Welcome, friends, to another Mercy Moment Emery episode as the leaves are cloaked in gold and this beautiful, dazzling dark red as the fall colors are here and seasons shift. Friends, I wanted to talk to you about one of the most important things that I'm discovering and continually growing in life, and that is a proper understanding of the theology of suffering, a right understanding of suffering in light of who God is and what He has said about it. I think it's monumental and of great urgent importance, especially as suffering is something that we all face, no matter where we are, no matter where we live, no matter what social class, no matter who you are, where you are, it's something we all face. And I love that Jesus spent a lot of time not only teaching on it, but manifesting through His life as the suffering servant what it looks like to suffer well and how to suffer with hope through the greatest adversity and loss that life can bring. I want to be honest here and just share that, honestly, friends, a lot of my life has been soul-crushing, life-altering sorrow, adversity, and loss. I've had a lot of it in my life, and somehow in my journey, I've begun to think that I was entitled somehow to a better and more cushioned life of prosperity and ease, because I had been through so much, and I had people around me say, oh, well, that's probably the worst thing that will happen to you, and then worse things happen, so please don't ever say that. Just saying, friends. But somehow I lost sight in the culture I live in the United States, in the beautiful state of Colorado. I lost sight of the point of life because the suffering has been great, and I've been fighting, especially in the last couple years, just to get a stable life of abundance and success by the world standards. And I've gotten disoriented and lost heart in that, because honestly, friends, suffering, we don't get to control what comes into our lives oftentimes, especially when it comes to the loss of children, the loss of things that are sacred and valuable. But I get to choose how I respond and how I grow within that, or choose not to, which is therefore another choice. And in the process, I'm honestly getting reoriented as I just finished a book called The Way of the Dragon, The Way of the Lamb. And it really exposed how much of the Western churchianity, culture of the West and churches, has adopted the ways, values, and mentalities of the world when it comes to success, when it comes to control, when it comes to power. And we cloak it in Christian terms, which is powerless and actually counterproductive and aligning with the demonic forces of evil that rule the world. Apostle John didn't pull any punches when he said the whole world is under the sway of evil, and it's under his control. Temporarily, this is his domain, and he temporarily has authority to dominate here. And if you think I'm kidding, we're in October, one of the darkest months on the calendar, that celebrates and openly parades satanic power and dominance as something pretty and fun, when in reality it's dark, destructive, and full of death. So that's a whole nother subject. But friends, in suffering, what is it I choose to focus on? Is it just getting through it? Or is it honoring God in the midst of it and looking to find Him? Because I find in Jesus, He suffered well. He was honest with it. He said very openly before He went to the cross, take this cup from me. I don't want this to happen. So He was real. But in the process, He said, not my will, but your will be done. He came to a place of submission. And submission in suffering is a game changer. Something that I'm growing in, and I haven't arrived. And please don't think when I share something that I've arrived, because I haven't. I'm always growing. There's always more. God is infinite. I'm finite. There's always going to be more to grow in. And in the process, Jesus found freedom in suffering, where the suffering didn't dominate Him. Yes, it overwhelmed Him. He was crushed by sorrow and grief. But He proceeded forward because He had a joy set before Him. The joy of obedience to the Father that produced a heart of perseverance and endurance to finish what the Father set before Him. So here's my perspective challenge today. What will you choose to focus on in the suffering that you face or will face here in the future? What's going to be your focus point? Is it to please the Father, to honor Him and walk with Him? Or is it just get out of it and find an easier, more comfortable life. There's an invitation the Father gives in every sorrow, every suffering, to know Him better. I found that pain is the place of revelation, and He wants to do something deeper within you that's far more valuable than being comfortable, friend. So may you be renewed in a right understanding of suffering, that God is doing something deeper, and it may not get easier the rest of your life. What if it never gets better? What if you suffer the rest of your life? Will you still have joy? Will you still have peace? Because He's provided a way for that to manifest. And it makes no earthly sense because it comes from Him, a peace that surpasses all understanding, a joy that's inexpressible, a love that's unmovable. It comes from Him, and it comes from abiding in Him. And the relationship with Him, the abiding in Him, the walking with Him is how this manifests. It's not something, an event to go through, but it's a lifestyle of a focus on the Father that changes it all. So until next time, friends, onwards and upwards with grace and grit. Love you guys.